Hello, my name is Jonah Ledesma, and this is my presentation on acting, the importance of keeping the actor separate from the character. Have you ever wondered why most actors don't get canceled for some of the things they say and do when playing in a role? I've always questioned this as I grew up, and especially in my most recent years being more involved in local theater, I believe I might have the answer to this question now. Today, I will present my knowledge, research, and experience in acting on the topic of differentiation between the actor and the character, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There is and must always be a difference which should eternally give the audience assurance that the actor is not the character they portray. For the overall definition of acting is to pretend to be. We'll be looking at the importance of making a separation between the actor and the character they're portraying. We'll also be looking at how an actor and audience must understand the intention of the directors or producers. Finally, we must solidify what the boundaries are in modern acting versus how they used to be. Let's begin with why it's important to establish a divide between the actor and the character in the first place. Above all, actors must keep their personal identities separate from their fictional role. Why? It's because there are some instances where a role begs for more controversial action that the actor must agree to portray, not of their own mind, but out of respect for the character being its own identity. I pose a relatable question for you. Have you ever been in a high school English class where the teacher may have needed to say a controversial word or phrase that's written in a book assigned to your class readings? A fond example of mine is when I had to read To Kill a Mockingbird in English class. My teacher opted to say the N-word as presented in the book during narration. Outrageous? Or is it educational? Is it adhering to the pathos tactic of author Harper Lee? Regardless of how controversial it might be, regardless of what you and I may think, this is part of acting. The teacher demonstrated the separation of personal identity and the characters. Though the teacher became a vessel for this piece of literature to be orated, the teacher is not the literature, not the character, but simply doing their job. One could argue that Russian theater philosopher Konstantin Stanislavski would disagree with my notion by his method acting. The Lee Strasberg Institute defines method acting as it trains actors to use their physical, mental, and emotional self in the creation of a character and stresses the way in which personal experience can fire the actor's imagination. How do we interpret this definition in reference to my point? The method encourages actors to put their full focus and effort into assimilating into the character, but not exactly morphing into completely new people. It is still your own individuality at play, and it is still a role being played. This only serves to give more authenticity to a role, just like the teacher choosing to be more authentic when reading To Kill a Mockingbird. Secondly, the intentions of the directors or producers are not the actor's own. It is both the actors and the audience's responsibility to understand that before giving criticisms. One of my favorite examples for this is the treatment of Hayden Christensen's role in Star Wars. Since he first started, it was poor. His reception was very negative, but it grew, it became better over the years. Who can be blamed for the initial negativity, though? Not the actor. Christensen was simply playing a role that was not managed as good as it could have been. As we see in today's news and media, however, Hayden Christensen is a rising star again. He's widely celebrated and admired for making a return to his role as Anakin Skywalker in some of Disney's new shows. Jennifer McDonough from The Direct states, Christensen returns to Star Wars with noteworthy credit as a review of a recent plot point in a show. Another example is a personal one. I once had participated in a play where I had to portray a misogynistic doctor in the story of Florence Nightingale. Is the identity of this character I played my own identity? Absolutely not. Did I listen to what my director told me to do, though, and play the character as it's intended? Absolutely. I personally experienced that the role is not me, but I put a little bit of me in the role. That's method, that's comedy, that's what's expected from the directors and the audience. When I did get greeted by my audience, however, a lot of them said I wanted to punch you, and I wanted to punch my character too. That's how I know that I played the role right. Third and lastly, we must discuss the boundaries of an actor when playing a character. There are things today that are quite simply can never be done again, at the very least experiencing a major decline in public image. There are sensitive topics such as racism. One of the most historical, widely offensive aspects, one of my examples, is the use of blackface. According to Smithsonian, the origins of blackface date back to the minstrel shows of the mid-19th century. White performers darkened their skin with polish and cork, put on tattered clothes, and exaggerated their features to look stereotypically black. They depicted black people as lazy, ignorant, cowardly, or hypersexual. This is absolutely a do not in acting everywhere. It is beyond cancel culture, beyond common sense. This is quite literally a hate crime today. But this was widely accepted back in the 1800s. It was comedy to the oppressors and the ignorant. It was dangerous. It is dangerous, and a similar effect can happen today if we're not careful enough. What we do now can have major implications on our future, and that is why we have to understand the separation between reality and fiction as well, in tangent with separating our character from the role, from ourselves. All in all, we must understand that there's a difference between the actor and the character, from the demand of higher-ups to the limits an actor can go. I simply hope that we can understand the responsibility of an actor and our right to judge them based on the roles they play and the actions they do. And in that regard, it's our duty to keep the scales balanced as actors, directors, and audience members on the stage or in everyday life. Thank you.